Hi, good afternoon. I am here to do a training course on Lean Six Sigma. Okay. I am Dr. Sathish from School of Engineering. So I am here to do a workshop on Lean Decoded, Diagnose, Innovate and Design. Okay. So before we get into the session, so let me just fill out with you on the attendance sheet. So first you sign off your admin sheet, and there are some handouts for you. So let me give you the handouts as well. So once you finish the attendance, and then I will continue. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now let's look into our session today, which is on lean. Okay, so are you aware of what is lean? No. Okay, so basically, here lean is looking at this sample keyword. Keyword is basically maximizing the value and minimizing the waste. Okay, so that's what we will be looking into. So we are not only looking into about efficiency, we are also looking at how to decode the DNA of how we work. Okay, so that's what we will be looking into. So we will be looking into diagnostic problems, innovating solutions, and to decide on the pathway that we need to move. Okay, so let's get into the session. Okay, why lean, right? So we need to know what is the 30-second rule. Have you heard about the 30-second rule? No. Okay, so basically if you look at 30-second rule is how efficiently you can work on a solution within a 30 seconds. Okay, let me give you an example. So when you go into a car park, right, usually you look for what? What do you look for? You look for parking, right? But do you know like how much time is being wasted when you go to any car park, right? Whether if you go to any malls to park your car, right? So how much is the time that is being wasted? Based on the
parking slot left.
Based on the parking slot left, yes. But how do you make it productive? Lights, yes. So based on the light that is displayed in the car park, you know that if it is green, usually, then you find a place. That means the car park is empty, and you go and park your car there, correct? But if it is red, you understand it is already occupied, right? So therefore, you need to look at an easy way of getting things done without being wasted, right? So high productivity. So we are looking at maximizing the value, right? So instead of just keep roaming here and there to look for car park manually, reduce your time, right? Reducing your time, reducing cost is important. Okay, so that's what the lean is. So 30-second rule, again let me keep it to the best of your understanding, to make you understand, is that when you do a process or a job, you need to ensure that you get the outcome within the 30 seconds. Okay, instead of wasting a longer time. Another example I can give you, like when you wanted to get your academic transcript printed, right? How much time usually they ask you to wait for? Usually 1 day or 2 days, right? But actually the printing will take place in 10 minutes, correct? So it's just like that's how. Okay, so you can save time, okay, but make things a bit productive. Okay, so that's what is the lean is about. So moving on. Okay, why lean and why now? Why are you doing this workshop now, right? So why lean is basically, yes, it has few elements to looked upon. So the first key factor, if you look at the human cost, okay? So human cost is like, you can see that there are around 7,600 deaths every single day due to work-related accidents or illness. Are you aware of this? No. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? And the second thing is looking at the financial burden. So again, work-related injuries and deaths cost global economic approximately is around like 4% of the global GDP. Are you aware of this? No. Okay, fine. And the efficiency gap is around 90% of a product's lead time is spent in waiting, searching, and moving, which is basically a non-value added waste. Okay? So if you look at the first point, it's more towards on cost, right? So there are 7,600 deaths related to work-related accidents or illness. Okay, so and the other one is the financial burden and the efficiency gap. So from these three things, what is your observation? What is your inference? What do you understand from these 3 points?
Cost, human life.
Cost, human life.
Injuries, death tolls, family problems, global economy.
Yes. Anything else in mind? So there are actually 3 major points here. Okay, so one is on the cost, other one is on your financial burden, and other one is the efficiency gap. Because you need, in order to complete a task, right? So you need to ensure that you maximize the value but minimizing the waste. So 90% of our work is being done in terms of finding or searching for something, and only 10%, within 10% of your time, right, you will get your work done. Okay? So in an organization or in a manufacturing unit, you need to ensure how effective the work could be done. Okay? The work, yes, could be done in many ways or different ways, right? But you need to ensure that the waste is eliminated. Okay, so that is basically what lean is about. Okay, so why we need to learn lean is because we need to ensure that it is not being wasted. Okay, or the waste is to be eliminated or removed, thereby maximizing the value and minimizing the waste in any example, okay, or in any process. Okay, so now let's have an icebreaker. Okay, so what I wanted you to explain and what I wanted you to say is each one of you to your organization, correct? And then I wanted you to tell, do you have any experience related with lean and what do you expect to gain from this session? Okay, so we'll start with you first. Yes. Okay, fine, that's good. How about you? Okay.
Experience with the reading, I got more information through my seniors.
Okay.
I just did from my information from seniors. By the end of the session, I will get more knowledge from your side to improve my CV as well as apply my internship regarding to this.
Okay.
I will gain my certification by this 6
Okay, fine, thank you. How about you? Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you. Yes.
I am Josh here.
Okay.
I'm doing cyber.
Okay.
So experience with lean, I heard about lean, but I don't know more about. That's why I came for this section to know more about it. I
Okay.
heard like more people have like sacrificed their lives, have crisis with the happening with the work, job, and their family career as well. So I'd like to know more and more about it.
Okay, fine. That's good. So I think like you have different backgrounds, right? Like some of you wanted to infuse this into your intention, and some of you, yes, you have experienced a bit in your intention doing it, but now you wanted to have more in depth of what lean is about, right? And then we will go through it with a few activities as well. So let's move on. That's good. Thank you so much. So there are different learning strategies, right? So we will be going through all these learning strategies. You know why you will have different learning strategies? Do you know like why you need to have different learning strategies?
To have a
To have plan, okay.
to analyze,
To analyze, then anything else? Sorry? To organize, okay. Anything else? Okay. Now you can see that we have different learning methods, right? The first one is lecture and visual presentation, followed by we will be having group simulation exercise, and then we will be having interactive discussions and reflection and action planning. Now if you look at like we are mostly like 60% is visual learners. You know why we are visual learners? Yes, you can grasp, think easily, right? You can learn fast when you see images, when you see videos, right? So we are 60% of visual learners. Why you're so fast to visualize things?
because it's easy to communicate with the person in your body.
Easy to communicate, yes, but apart from you, like what you can get things into your mind easily.
You can get the hands-on experience.
You can get hands-on experience. Yes, so we will be having some interactive discussions and group simulation exercises. So your group simulation exercises will give you hands-on experience. Okay. So and your interactive discussions among your peers, okay, or conversations, debates, okay? So you can have that. And finally, we will have a reflection and action plan. Reflection is basically like what we have learned through this program and what would be our action plan to move forward. Okay? So why we have 60% is like visual learners, because you can see like we have two types of memory. Are you aware of that? What are the two types of memory? Primary and secondary, yes. It's basically referred to as short-term memory and long-term memory. Now, whatever you read or learn now is basically your short-term memory. Okay? You just listen here, or you pretend to listen, like physically present but mentally absent. So nothing gets into your mind, right? Or whatever I say now, you just be listening, right? So once you leave out of this session, you might forget what I have taught you, right, about me. So that is basically short-term memory, okay? But when it comes to long-term memory, is basically it gets recorded into your brain, okay? But how do you get things recorded into long-term memory?
Based on practicing.
Based on practicing, then how do you practice? Repetitive. You recollect, right? So once I explain you what is the definition of lean, why you need to have lean, and once you go back and refresh yourself, that's the first time it gets recorded. Okay? And once again the next day or within a week, when you try to recap what we have learned, then that gets recorded into your long-term memory. Okay? So that's also, it's very important to catch all these things through visual presentation. So therefore visual perception and presentation is very important. Okay, now let's get into our learning environment of comfortness. Okay, so I hope like I have given you the schedule as well. Okay, the schedule is in the handout. So you can know like what is the time schedule, like when we will be having break, when we will be having our other sections of break. So you need to be punctual, okay? Once I give you a break and once you go back from it. So you have to be punctual all the time, so that is very important. And next one, and make sure your handphones are all kept in silent mode, okay? So that makes, that ensures that you don't disturb the session and others also don't disturb. And of course, I wanted you all to stay focused, okay? So that's the ultimate thing, right? So I wanted you to have something reflective by taking away, okay, about the Lean Six Sigma or the Lean session. And lastly, I want you to have an active participation so that it leads to productive outcomes of what you have understood and what the activities is about. Okay, we'll be having some activities as well. So based on that, we will have some discussions. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into the session. So let's look at the learning objectives. So you will be having 3 learning objectives for this session. Okay, so the first learning objective is to basically define the 8 types of waste. Okay, now the key term that we all need to remember is what? Maximize value and minimize waste. Okay, so this is the key point that you need to keep in mind until the end of the session for the next few hours. Okay, so we are going to define, the first objective is to define the 8 types of waste, which is basically tin woods. Okay, so tin woods is a keyword that you can take away, and the core principles of lean with at least 90% accuracy during a peer discussion. And the second objective is to explain the strategic importance of value stream mapping, okay, which is basically BSM. We call it as BSM, in identifying the 90% non-value added waste within a process. And next one is apply data-driven criteria. So these are three objectives of this session. So the first objective will be more towards on team codes. The second one will be on VSM mapping, okay, or VSM. And the third one is to apply the 7 ways of tools. So this is what we'll be looking into in today's session. So okay, now let's look at what is lean. Okay, now here you can see the keyword here. Lean thinking is a form of mindset. Okay, now a keyword that you can observe here is 98% of organizations engaging with lean fail. Why? Do you know why? 98% of organizations engaged with lean fail. Why? Yes. We are commenting, please.
They are used to doing the process in a way they don't want to get it.
Okay, so when new process is being introduced, they don't want to adapt to the new process immediately. Yes, you are correct. Any other answers?
Don't have a basic structure.
Don't have a basic structure. Yes. Anything else to add on? So when you want to introduce any new framework or new process, it has to be introduced gradually because people resist to adapt for new changes immediately. Okay, so the term that you are looking at, immediate and gradual. Okay, so when any new process or new flow is being introduced immediately, people resist. Okay, and time is needed for them to adapt to the new process. So therefore, it has to be introduced gradually for it to be 100% success. Okay. Now, if you look at in this scenario, if you look at the current state, it's full of waste, variation, and rigidity. Correct. So what we need to do is we need to identify what is the waste in the current process, the current system, eliminate those waste, and ensure that the value added time is basically equal to the lead time. Okay, so time is important, right? So as I told you, like 3 important elements. One is time, other one is cost. Okay, so these 2 are important things that we need to. So can you give an example of how the system could be used, or how the system doesn't work in an application? Anyone can give an example?
Doesn't match the criteria.
Sorry?
Doesn't match the criteria.
Yes. How is, I mean, like you say this process, okay, say for example, I give the same example. Like when you want to go to print an academic transcript, right? You go to the counter, you take a token, correct? And then they will say, okay, I registered you, so you can come and collect your transcript like after 7 days, correct? Then after 7 days, you go to it, go to this counter, and then you get your system and transcript being printed. But usually the printing of transcript will just take only 10 minutes, right? So 7 days you need to wait in order to get a transcript, correct? So it's basically waste of time, correct? It is not efficient. So you need to ensure that it's productive, okay? So it's only like 15 minutes is required for you to print out, right? So can you give similar example of where lean could be applied? On food, yes. How?
Basically, if you can order before your lunch,
Okay.
So teachers can kindly come and instead of going to the plane, and they have to order, and they have to wait till the food is cooked, and then we can eat. Sometimes it can also take long orders.
Okay. Okay, that's a good example, okay, of that lean could be used, okay. So lean could be used in any manufacturing industries or any organizations, okay. So where you wanted to ensure time is basically utilized properly, okay. So because you know like 90% of the time in the entire process is being wasted, while only 10% is being utilized. So how do we know that, how do we ensure that 90% of the time is being wasted and 10% of it is being done, okay? So I'll let you know, so this is basically on Kaizen, okay? So lean is basically more words on Kaizen. So if you split the word of Kaizen, right? So K is basically to break apart, okay? To modify or to change something. Okay, you change the existing system, correct? And Z is to think, make good and make better. Okay, how better you can do. So that Kaizen is basically change for the better or for continuous improvement. So in every system, if you look at, there is always continuous quality improvement, right? We call them as CQI. Okay, so even in, if you look at in your degree, right? So in your syllabus or in your degrees in the educational industry, there is always continuous quality improvement, right? So what is the continuous quality improvement is based on? What is the continuous quality improvement based on? Based on the industrial needs, because once you get graduated, you go into the industry, right? So we need to ensure that you are all equipped with the skill that is required by the industry, correct? So therefore, you need to have a continuous quality improvement to ensure the syllabus or the workshops, the softwares that you have, the hands-on exposure that you have, all in compliance with the industrial needs, okay? So therefore, you need to ensure that those are being embedded in the system and that is being taught and that has been upskilled for you, correct? So same way, you need to ensure that you modify the system in order to ensure that it is better processing, okay? So change for better and continuous improvement. So basically, the intent of lean through Kaizen is, the intent is to be better today than yesterday. Okay, we are not looking for perfection. So we cannot we are not looking for perfection, right? So we wanted to ensure that there is a betterment. Okay, so that's basically what is Kaizen. So this will be our roadmap for today's session. So we'll be having module 1, okay, so where you will be introduced to definitions. What is lean basics, what is base, value stream mapping, and 5S plus 1. Okay, so that will be your module 1. And if you look at for module 2, will be more toward on divergent thinking. Okay. So why divergent thinking? Sorry? Themes, yes. But why you want to learn divergent thinking?
There is also some ways of mode of this.
Okay. So 7 different modes of ways, is it? Okay, then anything else? Okay, now I am simply getting into more in detail about divergent thinking. Okay, so 7 ways to ways to create a solution, and then activity will be having 7 parts design challenge. There will be an activity for you to work on that. So let's look at that. And module 3 is more towards on decision and application, so which will involve Pug matrix, and again there will be an activity for you. So if you look at module 2 and module 3, there will be a activity for you, so that you have a hands-on exposure and details about it. Okay, and finally we end up with module 4, which is on conclusion. So we will ensure that we will have some key takeaway points from this session. Okay, and we will be having a reflection on learning objectives, then all putting it together, an action plan for your workplace. Of course, you are going to get graduated and you will be working out soon, right? So we will be looking into those parts. So you are basically year 4, right? So going into industry, so this will be useful for you. Okay, so now let's look at one by one of this. So we'll be looking into module 1 now. Okay. Okay, what is lean? So if you look at here, as I said, is eliminating waste and maximizing value for the customer. Okay. So that is basically what is lean. Okay, so keep these 2 points in mind: eliminating waste and maximizing value for the customer. Now let's look at some quick background history of this lean. Okay. So this slide actually tells you the origins of lean manufacturing. So if you look at, yes, so the root of lean manufacturing originates in the Toyota production systems, okay, which we shortly call it as TPS. Okay. Now, yeah, so first one is basically Sathish Toyota. So his concept of Jidaka, right? So it's automation. But if you look at the example that is given is about automation on power boom industries, right? So what is the difference between automation and automation? Here you can see the example here given is basically first applied to Toyota power boom automatic stocking device, right? So that's what we introduced. So it's basically on automation, correct? But what this Jidaka is about, this concept is about of automation. So what is that?
Automation is the automation is very industry.
Okay.
Automation can make more automation in this vehicle system.
Okay. Okay, fine, good. Any other things? Yes.
Automation is trying to save time by making the process going slow.
Okay. Okay. No idea.
They have different cases of it. So this case, I just have
Okay, so basically, if you look at your automation is basically where the system is automated in the sense it does the tasks, okay, automatically without any intervention, correct? But automation is more towards on effectiveness, okay, with minimizing errors, right? When you give a printout, right, you give a printout, right, but when it doesn't print due to some error, correct? What would be the error? Sorry? Automation. But what would be the error actually literally? Sorry? No ink, then no paper. Sorry? Sensor issue. So these are the things, right? So that's basically on automation. Okay? And next one is by Kichiro Toyoda. Okay, he introduced just-in-time concept. Okay, now are you aware of what is just-in-time concept? About just-in-time concept. It will be done within a time, yes, of course, yes. So as usual, we are looking at time, cost, correct? So just-in-time, what does it refer to?
Can take food as an example.
Yes,
If
okay.
we order it in 10 minutes or 20 minutes, if it doesn't come at the time, we'll be frustrated or something.
Okay.
If there is a lot of waste of time, I think that's the.
Well, exactly, that's an example, right? So if you order a food and if it doesn't arrive on time, it's waste of time, right? So you're wasting time. And also say for example, not only at that case, say for example, if you wanted to prepare a dish, correct? You need to have vegetables cut in time, correct? So you need to have different vegetables, different ingredients, correct? So and also you need to have the right temperature for us to cook. Once it is cooked, you need to ensure that it is put into a box, and if it has to be delivered to a person X, then it has to be delivered to person X on time. So if there's a delay in everything, then it's basically a delay, right? So it's waste of time, correct? So you need to ensure that all products that is required must be on time in order to ensure that the product or the output is delivered on time. So that's basically just in time here. And of course, you have Tai Chi, who's more towards on architect of TPS. Okay, so he is called as the father of supermarkets. Okay, and of course the last one, Shingo. Shingo is more towards on Kokayuki. Okay, mistake proofing. Are you aware of this? What do you mean by Kokayuki? Or mistake proofing? What is mistake proofing or Kokayuki? Identifying the mistakes from the roots. Okay, yes. But can you give me an example?
Let's say if in a manufacturing company, a toy is not working, instead of trying to fix the issue for that certain toy, you have to find why the issue came in the first place.
Okay. But still, you can have a better example.
Another example would be
Like if you big mistake, we can explain what happened, how we can make solutions.
Okay. Okay, fine. But a classical example is basically, okay, let's take this plug point, right? Okay. So if you have a plug, it has to fit into this box, right? The plug point. So therefore, you cannot have a plug that is manufactured with defects, which means it cannot be fit into this hole, isn't it? Okay. So this is basically, you need to ensure that it is not defective. Okay, so that's what is mistake proofing of Kokayuki means. Okay, so if it is built for certain element, okay, then it must be fit into it exactly. You cannot change it. If it cannot fit, then it is a defective item, isn't it? So that is what you call it in manufacturing world as Kokayuki. Okay, so the classical example is this plug point. Okay, so you can see the plug point is all rectangular shaped, right? So the device that you want to plug in must also fit into the same thing, correct? Only when it fits, then it is made for it, right? So that's basically to avoid defectiveness, okay? So that's basically on Kokayuki. Okay, so understanding value and waste. So in this current process, if you look at, you can see that 90% of the time is being wasted in searching, waiting, okay, excess inventory and motion. Like say for example, if I wanted to print a material, right, from here I need to walk towards a printer, isn't it? And then print it, and again I need to come back. So this is a waste of time, correct? Just have one printed copy. Okay, so that's one of the examples. So in order to get something done, you are wasting 90% of your precious time. So how can we avoid this? How can we eliminate this? So that is about lean. Okay, this is about lean. So where your value is added only in the last 10%, where the activities contribute to the production. Okay, activities contribute to the output. Okay, so that's basically what is understanding on time. You just feel free to ask any doubts if you have. Okay, next comes the 8th phase, which is Timboots. Okay, so Timboots is basically has 8 weights. Okay, let us go one. I'll just summarize what are these here now. So Timboots, yes, stands for transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, over processing, over protection, defects, and skills. Okay, so this is what it does, right? Now, what do you understand from this inputs? Can anyone explain on what this transportation here means? Moving items or information? Or what is the difference between between transportation and motion. You have transportation and motion, you know. Motion is excessive movement within workspace, whereas transportation is moving items or information. So what is the difference between transportation and motion?
Motion is it like, let's say we're running forward in something. Like let's say we're working on something and all the tools are somewhere else.
Okay.
Then we continuously move things to where they work on it and then move it to.
Okay. So motion?
I think one extent is motion and transportation is manufacturing different places. Like the same product is assembled somewhere else. It's produced at one
Okay.
spot.
Yeah, okay, fine. That could be considered. Yes. Any other examples? You understood the difference, right?
Yeah. When you are moving one thing, is the transportation, but the movement is the motion, right?
Yep. Okay, so movement of materials within a warehouse is said to be a transportation. Okay, so you move raw materials from one place to another place. Okay, so that's basically transportation. But motion is like just a classical example, like when I wanted to go and print something, right? So I just go to the printer, walk from here to there, and then print it and again come back from there, right? So that's basically motion. So it's not needed. It's an excessive movement within the workspace. Okay, so I need to see like how can I cut short the distance of walking and get the print out. So that is more effective, right? More productive. So that's what is that. And then inventory, yes, items of information that customer has not received. Okay, but we are looking at ultimately what you're looking at customer requirements, customer demands, customer satisfaction. So that's what we are looking at. And waiting for information or items to arrive. So just you said like we wanted to order some food and you just wait for it to arrive, right? So if it doesn't arrive just in time, then the time is wasted. Correct? The cost involved is also wasted. So that's basically waiting for information or items to arrive. And next one is over processing and over production. So what do you mean by over processing and over production?
Overprocessing is having unnecessary features.
Having unnecessary features, yes.
Overproduction is producing more than enough. Let's say the customer wants 5, we have 5 orders, and instead of putting 5, we order like 50.
50, yeah. So over processing, over production, yes, you are correct, exactly. And the last one is defects and skills. Okay, so defects, as I told you, like mistakes and errors that need to be reworked. You need to ensure that the plug point must fit into it, the basic thing, right? So the structural thing, if it doesn't match, then it is defective, okay, and unproductive. And lastly, skills, not using workers to fullest of its ability, of their abilities, okay. So that's basically is. So this is what we will be into this session now. So let's go one by one. Okay, so transportation. So unnecessary movement of parts between processes. So what do you understand from this? I hope you can see the visualization, right? So there are 3 major elements. One is operations, supply chain and office. So operations, if you look at, yes, material handling is important. Okay, so you move the equipment from one place to another place within a manufacturing unit or within a shop. Okay, so that's basically unnecessary movements must be avoided, must be limited. Okay, and supply chain, yes, so you need to have movement of goods inside the warehouse, right? So which could be avoided again. So what are the things that could be avoided? Must be avoided. So that this time could be saved. And of course, like physical movement of documents, like paperwork, when you want to carry a pile of files, okay, from one place to another place, it's a waste of movement of documents, right? So again, this term could be avoided. How you can avoid? By using email attachments rather than physical copies, right? Until otherwise it is very, very essential. And next one is, so you can see like how much space that could be eliminated or could be avoided. The next one is inventory waste. So what do you understand from this picture here? There are 3 elements here: operation, supply chain and office. So what could you observe from this?
Very materials and things.
Sorry?
Many materials and things.
Okay, there are many they are unbalanced. Okay. Any other thing?
Too many of them maybe not required. The green is what we need, but the red is excessive.
Yeah, so what is needed is only green, but it has something which is more excessive. Yes. Any other examples?
Different locations.
Yeah, different locations. Yes.
Somehow I invented somehow like high storage.
Yeah. So you're correct, right? So there could be some unread emails. Okay. Purchasing office equipments in advance. Okay. So those are things which is not value added. So as I said, the key point of lean is what? What is the key point of lean? Eliminating waste and maximizing value. So you need to ensure like how you can eliminate the waste in these areas and how to maximize the value. The next one is on motion. So what do you understand from this with respect to operation, supply chain and office? What do you understand from this in terms of motion? No proper layout, okay. So therefore you ding dong, right? So moving here and there and don't know like what is the correct place to place it up. Yes, then not organizing well. Yeah, things has not been organized here. You can see like you need to search some parts of the warehouse. It is very well organized. I know from where to pick up and where to place it, correct? But since it's not well organized, so we are not very sure like how to pick that particular component or equipment, so therefore you need to keep searching. Waste of time. Next.
Waiting for faster moving medium.
Yep, correct. So you try to move faster. Materials will be moved faster if it is well organized. Okay. So time is saved as well as the cost would be saved with the movement. Okay. So that's what you understand from this, right? Okay, next one is on waiting. So people are parts that wait for a work cycle to be completed. So again, this involves operation, supply chain and office. So what do you understand from this in terms of waste? Waiting to get disposed. Yeah, so this is basically, yeah, waiting to get disposed. Say, for example, if a customer orders, right, and you need to deliver it to them on time, okay, rather than being waited in the waiting area to be delivered, right? So that's one thing. And waiting for something to be done as a whole process, okay, then we can move. Okay, so that's what, so you need to ensure that there is a process in place and you follow the process in place and then you move on to the next. Yes.
Waiting for the required operators.
Waiting for the required operators to come in order to ensure that it is operated at the right time, correct? Second, so there are some waiting period is required in all these examples. So therefore you need to ensure that you eliminate those time, okay, which is being wasted. So that's one of the key point in this lean workshop. Sorry?
I have a question. Does slow laptop or slow processing laptop count as waiting?
Yeah, yes, it does. Okay, so you can see that there is a buffering, right? So it keeps buffering, or when it being overloaded, it doesn't open the required document in time, correct? So therefore, there's a kind of buffering in it, right? So therefore, you need to avoid it. So that's what is about waste 5. Okay, next one, waste 5 is on overproduction. So what is this overproduction is about?
More than required.
More than required. So when you need to order only 5 elements, okay, of food or 5 food packs, but you're going to order like 50, then the 45 is being wasted, right? So yeah, so that's basically overproduction. So in this example, what can you tell about these examples here that has been shown to you?
In office, let's say if they're trying to print something,
Okay.
instead of checking on the requirements, they just print. Like
Okay.
a habit.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. So that's basically on overproduction. So overproduction should be avoided. And next one is overprocessing. So again, overprocessing, yes, you can see that you can have excess of inspection, some tests done on multiple sections, stations, correct? So if you can just do it only one time for you to have an ensure that it is being tested correctly, then it could be avoided, right? So therefore, you need to ensure that overprocessing is avoided, so therefore time wasted and cost is also wasted. And next one is again supply chain, and in the office you can see that repetitive data entry, right? So you need to see like how you can avoid repetitiveness, okay? So that is also important. So that's basically what is about over processing. And next one is on defects. Okay. So what is defect? A defect is a component that is deemed unacceptable by customer due to a failure to pass the quality standards. So what does this mean?
Can I share my experience?
Yes, please. Yes.
So during my internship time, I was working in a company that is a manufacturing company.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
customer, they require it to be in a certain size, and also it is used for a certain application.
Mm.
So when we were producing that product, we did look carefully into this. We used a different material.
Okay.
So we thought using a more expensive material would help in the process.
Okay.
But then it wasn't suitable for the application.
Okay. Okay. That's really good example of it. Okay. Understood. Okay. So that's an example here. So yeah. So you can have at operation sites you can have defects due to workmanship, component defects, return from customer, bone pile or scrap. Okay. And when it comes to supply chain, material to be returned to vendors. Okay. So if it is not quality standard, then material with errors have to be returned. Incorrect orders have to be returned, and misplaced stock. So all these things, again, you can see that there is some defects which have to be avoided in order to ensure what? All these things have to be addressed in order to achieve what? In order to achieve lean, yes. So what are the two keywords that you need to know? Maximize value and minimize defects. So that's what we are looking at here. So again, you can see that examples of data entry errors, okay, and other things in terms of office. So this is basically your waste 7, which is defects, and the last one is on waste 8, which is on skills, okay, unutilized. So what do you mean by skills unutilized?
Imagine I have a certain skill editing, but they're putting me on the documentation.
Oh yeah, good. So you are good at editing, but you are being put under documentation is a classical example of unutilized. So you are strong in certain part, but you are being put into a part of where you are weak. Okay, so that's basically skills unutilized. So you have a potential, but you are not being utilized in the right phase and in the right place. Okay, the next one is universal lean principles. Okay, so if you look at that, you have a value stream. Okay, where you identify the waste in the value stream and remove all the wastes. Okay, and then you have a flow to make the product and value flow smoothly, and then to produce only to pull off customer demand. What do you understand by this? What do you understand by this?
We should have a perfect planning and analyze.
Okay, perfect planning and analyze what? Analyze on what?
Analyze on the method.
Customers demand. Customer demand or customer requirements. Okay, so you need to ensure your customers being satisfied, their demands are fulfilled, right? So that's what is pull, produce only the pull of customer demand. And next one is pursue perfection. Waste elimination as an ongoing process towards perfection. So again, you try to eliminate waste, okay, to ensure towards perfection. And lastly is value. Correctly specify value of product or service with customer in mind. Okay, so you need to ensure that you want to satisfy the customer you need to ensure that you fulfill the requirements and needs for the customer rather than you, if the customer says I need an apple, then you need to ensure that you produce an apple to them rather than an orange. Correct? So that's an example of universal lean principles. Okay, now we are here for quiz time. It's our quiz time. Okay, so let's have a quick quiz. What do you understand by the term lean? More productivity, less wastage. Minimize the defects and maximize the value, right? So yeah, so what it is? Maximize customer value by identifying and eliminating waste and improving continuously. What are the 5 elements of the universal lean principles? Sorry? What are the 5 elements of universal lean principle? No. Huh? Okay. So it's basically on value streams, flow, pull, and perfection. There's the one slide before, right?
Remember the flow and pull.
Okay.
Perfection, value stream.
Okay, fine.
You understand the method.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Shio Shingo introduced the concept of what? Hokkaido. Okay, Hokkaido, correct? The next one, what is the full form of JIT? Just in time. Good. And what is value? Customer time. Okay. Any other answers? Quality. Customer time. Then? Sorry? Perfection. Okay, let's look at this. Activities and features that customers will need to pay for. Okay, so let's start. So you need to actually satisfy the customer, right? So only once you satisfy the customer for what they pay, that's basically what is value. Okay, what is three goods? Transport. Okay. Inventory. Motion. Waiting. Overproduction. Over processing. Defects and skills. Perfect. Okay. So transport, inventory, motion, waiting, overprocessing, overproduction, defects and skills. Okay. So I hope like you have understood what has been explained until now. Okay, based on the feedback that you have given through this quiz. That's fine. Okay, now let's look at what is value stream mapping. Okay, so what is value stream mapping, or VSM stands for? Okay, now value stream mapping is a visual learning or visual lead tool that maps the flow of materials, information and processes throughout the entire supply chain. Now what do you understand from this? Value
The process
stream mapping.
The process of connecting with the customer.
The process of
Connecting with the customer.
connecting with the customer. Okay, it's like a flow chart. Yes, but what do you understand from this diagram?
The chain, how the process is working.
The chain of how the process is working, right? So when you want to have something as a product, you need to have different processes, okay? And all those processes must be in line with a system, correct? So any process that you look at, like say for example, you have a supplier, you need to ensure that there is a forecast, okay, of 6 months. Then you need to ensure that the purchasing takes place and program administrator is notified of it. Then there is a forecast, what's the customer requirements, right? So in a production unit, you need to forecast things well in advance. You plan Okay, but at the same time you shouldn't be buying things which is over processing or over protective, right? So that's what you need to look at. So that's what is value stream mapping. Okay, so you need to ensure that this mapping takes place in lean. Okay, so this is one of the key component of implementation of lean in order to get 100% of efficient work, okay, or productive work. Okay, you have this value stream mapping cycle. Okay, so this is BSM cycle, which involves 4 major phases. Okay, one is current state. Okay, so where you adjust. So you need to identify what is the current state and show the gaps for improvement. And next one is analysis, which is more towards on planning. So you analyze gaps, determine the root causes. And next one is the future state, which is to do, establish the future state BSM for Kaizen implementation. And lastly, you implement to check. Okay, so it's basically adjust, plan, do, and check cycle. Okay, so now we will be having an activity based on the current state now. Okay, so we will do an activity here. What is this activity is about? Okay, there are 2 scenarios. Okay, scenario 1 is on campus transportation, the last mile bottleneck. Okay, so there are 2 scenarios here. You can divide yourself into 2 groups. Okay, and each one of you can take one scenario. Can you just go through the scenario? I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes time for you to go through the scenario first. The first scenario is campus transportation, the last mile bottleneck. And let me know what this scenario is about. Maybe you can be as team A and you can be as team B. You go through what is scenario 1 and you can pick up scenario 2 and tell me what is scenario 1 and what is scenario 2 is about.
Scenario 1 is about
Okay.
if you have to go somewhere that's buses and all, especially in classes. So students are always late in class because there are many students and less buses.
Okay.
And many students are also left behind because it's overcrowded.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they follow only a certain schedule. They
Yeah.
just check parts.
Okay, that's good. That's correct. So that's for scenario 1. And how about scenario 2? Scenario 2 is on cafeteria operations, the meantime congestion. So what is the scenario? Okay. Yep, correct. So this will be your 2 activities now. Okay, so I'll produce the activity chart. Okay, so the instructions is basically for the scenario given, you have to work with your team to analyze the process of using the 5 lean principles. Okay, so we went through the 5 lean principles, right? So you need to use those 5 lean principles and fill in the notes under each principle and prepare a short presentation of your findings. Okay, so team A and team B. So what you need to look into it, you first need to define value. Okay, so what does the user truly need? So you need to identify that. And second one, you need to map the value stream. Okay, so list what are the steps involved in the current process. In the current process, there are 2 scenarios. What are the steps that is involved? So identify them. The next one is you need to create a flow. So where are the delays or interruptions are in those 2 scenarios. So identify them. Okay, and then establish pull. So how can the process respond to actual demand? Okay, so how can the system can respond to the actual demand? And then seek perfection. What continuous improvements can be made? So you need to look at what continuous quality improvement can be made in every stage. And lastly, the team present. Okay, so what to present? You summarize your findings and prepare key points to present based on the scenario given. Okay, so this is what you will have to do. So I will give you time for you to work on your activity, and then you will present after 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. Okay? So let's break. Let's take a break. Okay, so which team is ready? So let's continue with the activity. So which team is ready already? Okay, come and present first. I'll be sitting in your place so you can present.
Okay. Thank you. So,
I have answered.
our scenario is
I have
like
answered.
area scenario. Here you can see IQ in the food production sector and food wastage management. So the value for the customers they truly need is, I think we can give an arrangement of time to the person or an automation system like alarm sensor or the queue sensor where people know when the food is ready, so they can go and run on that and they don't want to stay in the queue until the food is ready to be collected. So we can give that value for the customers. And the map where the value streams is process like the ordering, the waiting, and waiting in the queue. And after the food culture is done, the food wastage is not managed as per the rules. It's also including the value streams. So we can give rules and regulations or the process, or we can teach them how we can manage the time management, the waste management to them. Like we can give these value streams. The flow of these are notions. Like as you know, in the queue section, or people who just order the food, they are in the queue until the other person's food has been received, or the other person has to do the order. So we can make it flow. Like person go to the queue first, order, let them have a automation system or an alarm, so they can go to a seat and they just wait for the alarm to ring, and then only they can come and run the food. So the people who want to order, they won't be interviewed with the person who already ordered in the queue. So it will be good automation for the flow. Okay, yeah, establishing food. Yeah. You can't expect what type of response you can make in these demands. Like only you know when you are in the process. If you are just a person from a third person scenario, you won't understand what's happening inside. When you are in the process, you will only know how to interact in this process, and you will make a more automation innovation to make the scenario more simply easy for the process to do. And seek perfection what kind of improvement can be made. As I said, we can make an alarm system like bringing person after the person has been ordering, he can wait for the bin to come and get the food. So that's a perfection. I mean, the innovation we can make in the improvements. And summary of the presentation is the scenario, which was the what's happening in the different section. So by this type of improvements and the values we have loaded, we can make some more efficient time, like what we learned from the lead. So maximizing value, minimizing the waste.
Okay, fine. Got it. Thank you.
timings, we can have a regular timings. Let's say if the bus is supposed to come at 3 or 5, the bus stays at 3 or 4. So students do not have to wait like at least 10 minutes or anything. So buses has to come on time. The second one is we can reduce the number of people in a bus by having more buses coming. And the third one is transportation systems. They are aligned to peak hours. Usually mornings and evenings are the most peak hours, and during afternoon sessions we can reduce it and increase the buses for the peak timings. So to know the peak timings, we can determine it by having surveys and also checking the students' timetable. So the pool, to establish a pool, we can use, like as I mentioned, we use the data student timetables, or we can use an app where it detects where the student is with the bus stop and check which route is actually causing delays, like which one has a lot of traffic, and based on that analysis we can come for a solution. So for seat perfection, instead of continuing this process for once, we can improve it like this. So we have to change these sessions based on the student index. Let's say this index has many students and they have timings of different timings. So change it according to that, instead of following the same routine for the next 10 years again, the students have to go there. Yeah. So to summarize it, first solution is having more buses during peak times. Second one is checking the student timetable and having buses on that time, and also making sure the drivers follow the timings. So students doesn't have to wait a lot of time.
Okay, so welcome after the break. Okay, so I hope you had a very good break. Now let's look at the continuation of module 1, which is on Toyota production system, which we call it as TPS. Okay, so again, our main aim is basically to eliminate waste and add value, right? So our goal is basically customer satisfaction, quality, cost, delivery, safety, and morale. Okay, so there are two pillars of this. One of the two pillars is basically just in time is one of the pillar, and the other one is automation. Okay, so just in time, I think I already given you example, right? So just in time is basically when you want to have a food to be prepared, you need to ensure the ingredients are at the place, okay, and also the temperature, the cooking vessel must be there. Once you have done everything, then you need to ensure that it is delivered on time, correct? So just in time is very important. And of course, you need to ensure that there is a continuous flow in the system. Okay? And the other pillar is on automation, right? So automation. So what is the difference between automation and automation?
Automation is the process going in a flow
Okay.
without any human.
Okay.
Automation with human touch.
Okay. So automation is something with human touch. Okay. So automation means it's something with the flow which is automatic. Okay. But automation is with a human interference. Okay, or human touch in it. Okay. So therefore, if you look at, you need to look at error proofing, Pokayo, which you have already discussed, right? So Pokayo means basically you fit it for the purpose, right? The example is the classical example is your plug point, right? So it has to fit for the purpose. And of course, separation of human machine is also there. So all these two major pillars look for stability and standardized work. Okay. So therefore, the foundation for this is basically production leveling, continuous improvement, and respect for people. So basically, this is what we look at BSM diagnostics and 7 ways to solutions. Okay. So that we will be looking into the next module. The 7 ways of tool solutions. So basically, first we need to look at what is the problem and then come up with the solution, and then we decide on which is the best solution. So moving on, the 5S plus 1. Okay, so the 5S plus 1 is basically looks at the safety and efficient workplace starts from this. Okay, so what is this 5S plus 1? So the first one is sorting out. Okay. So you need to ensure that you sort out in any organization or any place that you work out, you look at sorting out the things. Okay, that means they must be arranged in the order. Okay, so remove unnecessary items. Then set in order. So you need to ensure that whatever is being placed in the order. So if you look at in this lab, the stones are basically set in the order, right? So it has to be set in order. So look at everything in its place. So it's easy for us to breakdowns. And next one is standardization. So you need to ensure that there are some rules and regulations, right? So you standardize things. Like when you come to APU, you already know that you need to wear what? ID card and tuck in your shirts and be in proper attire. So same thing. Okay, so you need to standardize the process and the procedures. So create uniform procedures and visual controls. And next one is sustain. It's basically Kaizen, right? So you go with audit, train, recognize continuous improvement. Continuous quality improvement is needed. So these are the 5S+1 pillars here. Sort, set in order, shine, standardize and sustain. So with this as given to you, why 5S matters. So what is the real world impact here? If you look at here, this is news, right? A worker crushed to death at proton plant, if you are not aware. His colleagues could only watch in horror when a stamping machine crushed 22-year-old linekeeper who was Rashdi Adnan to death at the proton plant in Sharjah yesterday. Okay? So this was actually published on 10 September 2002, the Malay page, right? So basically, you know why this happened, right? Why? Why this happened? Rest in peace. Sorry? They didn't follow the rules, correct? They would have avoided it because of this one life has gone, isn't it? So therefore, the 5S is very important. So this is how it has impacted the real world. Okay, a person has lost his life. Okay, so if the 5S is adhered or is in compliance, then we would have seen person to be not into this, would have not been pitfall into this. Okay, so that's the thing. So let's go in depth of what is this 5S is all about. Okay, so the first one is to sort. So you need to ensure that all elements are being sorted in the right way. So what is that thing? You start with a small area and expand area by area. Okay, and include all affected people when sorting. And one important thing that you need to do is use the red tag system. So you tag every element so that it is correctly sorted. Okay, in batches. Like I'm not sure. Like if you go to shopping malls, you have been things sorted, right? Food, beverages, clothing separately, all has been sorted separately, right? With tags, naming, labels. Okay, so that's what this sort is about. And next one is examples. So these are some of the examples you can identify here, right? So here you can see things are not sorted properly, but here they are all arranged correctly. Correct? So these are some of the classical examples in an organization. It could be any industry or it could be academic place. Or it could be any workplace that you work at. Okay. The next one is on set in order. So in order to set in order, you need to assign permanent places for all necessary items. Okay. So put everything in proper place. So choose proper storage methods. So like for this, how you want to store these elements and how you want to store them in boxes. So you need to see which is the proper way of storing those elements and make sure to visually indicate locations. Okay, and ensure that missing items are easily noticed. Utilize signboards. Okay, so that's what you can see. So here you can see that there is a safety, think safety first. There are some signboards, right? And here you can see that there is a fire action signboard, and that's the fire extinguisher, right? So you can see that there are signboards, and here is a medical kit as well, correct? So there are signboards that is very unique, and you can easily identify them. So same thing goes here. Okay, so set in order. You can see here. So what can you observe from this picture? What can you observe from this picture?
Everything is well settled.
Sorry?
Some things are not sorted, some things are not unsorted.
Unsorted and not sorted or being sorted, correct?
Yeah.
So here the files are not sorted properly. Here they are being labeled properly and sorted out, right? So here this is basically what is example set in order. And the next one is shine. So you need to ensure that the place is very neat, tidy and Okay, so eliminate the dirt, dust, oil scrap, whatever it is, and while cleaning also inspect for abnormalities, correct? And the workplace should be always cleaned, make it as an everyday task, right? In our day-to-day life, we also keep our places very neat and tidy, right? So we clean up everything. So make sure everything is cleaned appropriately. So this is an example of how it looks clean, right? So this is an example of how the place is being neat, tidy and clean. So here you can see how the boxes have been arranged. Here is all like not fully cleaned, right? So but now it's all clean and tidy here. And the same thing here you can see. You can see the dust particles here in the aircon ventilator, right? So but here it's all cleaned. So this is how it should be. The next one is standardize and sustain. So what are we in order to maintain the first 3 S, right? The first 3 S like sorting out, right? Or shining, cleaning and all those things. In order to maintain and sustain the first 3 S, the discipline of for 5 S must be converted to habits of all individuals. Okay? So as an individual, you need to follow up all these things. Okay, you need to ensure that everything is sorted out, everything is labeled, everything is kept clean, shine. Okay, so therefore you need to define procedures for the first 3 S in order to set the standards for 5 S and define 5 S activities to be carried out periodically, daily, weekly, and monthly schedules. Okay, so that gives you a check and balance. Okay, so if you have to do a daily activity, you ensure that you have done it daily. Okay, look at a weekend and see whether you have done it daily, and then make it as a weekly habit, and then it becomes a monthly habit. Okay. So this is an examples of standardization. Okay, so that is basically how it sustains. Okay, and the next S is on safety. So what you can see from these 2 pictures with respect to safety.
The boxes are about to fall down. If your
Yeah.
person is walking there,
Yeah. So it's quite dangerous because the materials are everywhere and there's no pathway for them to climb over the ladder, right? So therefore here it's all clear. There is a clear pathway. Okay. So therefore safety is important in any place, correct? So you need to check whether all machines equipments have suitable protective guards. If you want to enter into any room, you need to of course wear the protective shields if anything that is necessary, right? And so protective equipment is important. And check out your walkways are clear and free from any obstructions. And make sure safety equipments like fire extinguishers are placed, right? So here we do have fire extinguishers. And make sure it's all properly labeled and all in working condition. So ensure the person is aware of what to do in case of a disaster. So I hope you all know like a map of how to exit, right, during fire. So that's one of the example of it. So the fire's audit checklist is one standard one. Okay, a standard one could be brought in. So where you score yourself from score 0 to score 5. Okay, so where the key highlights of standards are given here as a rubric. And of course, if you score 2, it's below average. 3 is that you are learning. 4 is succeeding, and 5 is the benchmark. So benchmark, of course, you need to ensure the operating area is excellent. It is seen to be at a benchmark at a world class level, and no aspects appear to have opportunity for improvement. That means it's perfect. Okay. So any of that is what is checklist look like this. And 5S self-audit checklist. How do you implement? You implement it in 4 phases. Okay, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. So in phase 1, housekeeping is being done. So where you identify the 7 deadly waste. Okay, so you execute them, you eliminate them. Then at workplace organization, what are the improvements that you can carry out? Okay, so you're looking at the problem, then you're coming up with solutions. Then within the solutions, you find which one is the best one. So visual standards, workplace mission, and then of course you implement it in commercial control and lean thinking. So how you execute this lean principle. So as I said earlier, you can apply lean principle gradually rather than immediately. Okay. So 5S plus 1 tips for success. So what, in order to execute the success, okay, of 5S, you need to ensure that you start in a small area and expand area by area, and communicate the need for 5S plus 1 role for all your participants when you are involved in it, and get everyone involved, include all the affected people and also the outsider as a third party observer when you are doing 5S. So when you are doing 5S, you need to ensure that there is an observer always. Why you need an observer?
To make sure everything is perfect.
To make sure everything is perfect. Okay, that means they follow the process or not. Okay, assign permanent place for all needed or required items. Choose proper storage methods. Okay, so that's another element. And visually indicate locations. Management must lead by example. Walk the talk. I hope you understand what is walk the talk, right? And also set good examples of 5S work conditions and make everything is swept and clean at all times. Okay, so these are all some of the 5S plus 1 tips for success, right? So with this, I hope like you have been exposed well with 5S elements of module 1. So where the 5S is basically on sort, setting order, shine, standardize and sustain. Okay, so when you introduce it into a strategic application, the first one will be BSM, value stream in mapping. Okay, so where you diagnose the waste and then innovate solutions using 7-8 tools and then apply and sustain and finally decide the best part using few matrix. Okay, so this is the overall lean workshop scene. So now we have completed module 1. We are completing module 1 on diagnosing waste. So therefore, now let's look at an activity to implement this. Okay, so this is going to be an activity for you where it's called pass the process. Okay, it's a lean simulation. So what is the objective? To understand basic learning principles, identify waste where any extra steps is needed, is there a confusion or waiting, whatever it is, and experience process improvement. So what is the activity instruction now? Okay, now each person has one role to be played. So first, person 1 will have to plan. Okay, person 2 say lean, and person 3 stand up, and person 4 to raise hands. Okay, so let's follow this. And further, we'll be doing the round 1, which is basically to identify the inefficient process. Okay, so in this process, what the instruction is, you need to start without a clear signal. So suddenly you need to start. Okay, and then there is no fixed rhythm. The next one, person 2 must wait 2 seconds before acting, and person 3 repeats their action twice and continue 2 to 3 cycles, and let's then further discuss what went wrong, what is the waste, where is the waste actually included, and how do we improve the lean process. Okay, or how do we improve the process by adapting lean. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Yes. You know what to do. Each one of you know what to do. Yeah, I know you are clapping, but each one of you know what to do, right?
Yeah.
You know what to do, or you need to discuss sometime, or if you are all okay. Okay, just discuss and let me know once if you are ready, then we will start. But you have to follow these instructions, okay? And repeat 2 to 3 times, and then you let us know. So what do you think that what was wasted here? Do you think anything that you are wasted?
Yeah, the standing time is too much.
Okay, standing time. Okay, then
And also, I think I made a mistake. I was so rushing, like after declared, I didn't wait for 2 seconds.
you didn't wait for 2 seconds. Okay, fine. Then what else?
This guy answered when I was standing.
I forgot that. It was 2 times.
Okay, so you need to hands up. I think the first time you took one hands up, and the
Yeah.
second time you took both the hands up.
Yeah.
Correct?
I forgot the reason.
Okay, fine. So how do you adapt the thing here? I mean, like, what is other things that you could have done a better way of adapting the
We could have planned better. Like if you get more time, if you plan better, we could have get a better result than this.
Okay,
No need to rush.
no need to rush. So basically, your time was actually wasted in standing up. Correct?
We need a perfect time and analyze it and perfectly execute it.
You understood this. So in this activity, basically, what you learned from this activity, what was your understanding of this activity? What did you identify in this activity?
It's a good work.
Yeah, communication is important.
Communication is important. Then
They're not to panic too much.
do not panic too much. Okay.
Time prioritize.
Time is need to be priority. Correct. So basically, you are identifying many problems in this activity. Correct. So that's your first module. So the first module is basically identifying problems. Your second module is to come up with solutions based on 7 tools. And third one is to identify the optimized solution based on Q matrix. Okay, so these are 3 modules of today's session. So we are ending with session 1, okay, which is on identifying problem using 5x plus 1. Okay, so that's what you have done correctly now. So let's break and come back for module 2. So thank you for your response on this part. Okay, so now the other task will be for you to, if there is a company, okay, so how will you apply this 5s plus 1? So can you just discuss and get back to me? So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Go ahead.
So we attend online family class teachers.
Okay.
So it's a manufacturing company.
Okay.
We're planning to do toaster manufacturing.
Okay. Sir, okay.
We just started the company, so it's on the new.
Okay.
So I will have a review for the company by seeing the series,
Okay.
and then based on the class,
Okay.
I will ask some questions, I will answer them,
Okay.
in a good position.
Okay, fine.
Basically, we're trying to hire only skilled people.
Okay, so you are looking at skilled people. Okay, then.
So the 5 years of our company, the sorting section, like the machines we use for manufacturing process,
Okay.
also the safety the manufacturing raw products will be, which will be only using what we want. The other
Okay.
stuff will be thrown out.
Okay.
Setting orders, as I mentioned before, we'll be keeping the machines as its own positions,
Okay.
as in rules and regulations, so people can work on the machines
Okay.
and won't be gathered there and here, making unnecessary safety reasons, which will cause for the workers who are working on the field.
Okay, fine. Fine.
And standardize and sustain.
Okay.
The working principles and the rules we will provide will be handed over to the workers and will be worked on process. So the people who are working, when they come for first time to work, they won't be knowing how they should be working on a place.
Okay.
So we just give a work explanation and a class like workshop. So they will be more energized and they will be more experienced in this work.
Okay, fine. So you adapt the 5 years principles.
Yeah.
5 years. Okay.
Another one for the defects of the company. So as a company, you have just new toaster model. After the customer starts complaining about the toaster,
Okay.
based on this like the bread not toasting evenly, burning
Okay.
on inside.
So you identify the problems. Okay.
Yeah, identify the problems.
Mm.
After like I learned about the lean concepts,
Mm.
like in a short way,
Okay.
the defects can be reworked, like fixing products and scrap throwing away like the fault units.
Okay.
And customer dissatisfaction. Like customer will be provided with the great responses that we need to fix that make our company to
Okay.
a great level. That's what. And we need to make sure our time and our cost should be perfect. That every the workers and customers should be satisfied as well.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so I just want like 4 components that have defects happen. One is maybe the poor quality control, inconsistent process, supply issue, lack of standardization. So I also find the problems before the launching.
Okay.
I also find the solution for that also. For the poor quality control, we create a standard worker procedure. Like every toaster built in the same way. So no customer would have been like desperate, like one guy has this thing, others, one guy has different.
Okay.
Nothing will be a problem for us. And second will be quality sources. Quality checkup. We bring a new guy or like a new people, like she said, we need to hire people to defect anything. And third one would be like root cause analysis. The basic thing, we said the customer dissatisfaction. So we do a root cause analysis.
Okay.
Make sure everything is perfect.
Okay, fine. So actually, good feedback. So basically, I understand that we have done 2 activities now, right? So basically, the feedback or the takeaway point of the activity 1 is basically for you to understand that you have to identify the problems. Okay. So identifying the solution is the next module. But now at this end of this module 1, you all need to understand is how to identify the problems. Okay, and what are the problems that needs to be identified using the 5S1 principles. Okay, of lean. Okay, anyhow, now let's take a break and then we'll go on to module 2 after this break as per the schedule. Okay, so thank you. Okay, welcome back. So we are at the fag end of the workshop, okay? So I think like went through three different modules, right? Starting with an introduction. So we went through what is lean, then we went through what is module 1. Okay, so module 1 is basically identifying problems, and then we went through module 2 of coming up with solutions, okay, for the problems. Then we went through module 3, right? So where we try to optimize the solution. I mean, we choose the best solution out of these solutions. And therefore, now we are at the fact end of the session. So we will be looking into the key learning takeaways, okay? And then we will be looking into reflection on learning objectives, putting it all together, and action plan for workplace applications. Okay, so that's what we will be looking into. So, what is our key learning takeaways, okay, from today's session? Yeah, the first one that we went through is about lean. Lean is about the flow and not the speed. So if you remember, I introduced you with why we wanted to learn lean, correct? And then in module 1, I explained what is lean. So what is the lean? What is lean? What are the two key points that you need to remember about lean? Maximizing value and minimizing defects. Okay, always. Okay, so that's the two important things you should be remembering. You shouldn't forget about it. So we are looking at optimized process flow, okay, and not the speed. So you need to carefully understand. So this is going to be your takeaway point from this workshop. Okay, it's not about making people work faster. Okay, it has to be gradual. Okay, so when you wanted to change or when you want to implement lean, don't implement it immediately. You have to implement gradually. Correct? So that was our module 1. So in order to apply for module 1, we implemented 5S plus 1. Right? So in the module we did have some sessions, right? Some activities we did have, right? 2 types of activities. And what was the outcome of the activity? What was the outcome of activity for you to take away? Sorry? Yes, we did it in the morning, right? At the end of module 1. So what was the outcome of the activity? What is the takeaway point from that activity? Timing. Customer requirements. Basically, there was some wastage of time, right? Waste of time, right? Like by standing up, fine, and the communication gap. So there you identified the waste, correct? So that was your key takeaway point in this part of the module 1, correct? So lean is all about the flow and not the speed, correct? You did the activity in the morning, you remember, like you did it very speed, right? And communication gap, okay? And unnecessary part, like you don't need to stand up, right? When you want to stand up and you want to communicate on about lean, correct? So there was some waste of materials or waste of time identified, right? So that is what your first thing. So you identify your problems, right? So can you relate this to what your understanding is on about the module 1 on lean?
I think lean is about working fast, but I misunderstand. In the first, before coming here, I thought about lean was like that. But lean is not about the speed. It is about the flow that I learned from lean. Like speed means the doing things quickly. Flow means moves smoothly without interruption, delays or waste. That the way it pleases us. Like example, I think like a worker rushing. Like in speed, more mistakes rework. Like worker rushing means like it will affect our product or the customer as well by buying things as well. And the smooth process, that means the flow, like fewer slow and consistent outputs, they give us the perfect thing that we want in the lean. And I got the core lean idea from this subject was the waiting time, defects, extra movements, like overproduction that we explained the keywords as well. And when these are removed, the work flows continuously. And no bottlenecks or like no unnecessary delays.
Okay.
That's what the real efficiency happens. learn from this thing.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like before, like in the within before 10 minutes, we done the toaster example, the company that we done. Like imagine a company making toaster, without focusing on speed, make the company would be better and work rush assembly and defects increase more labor production actually became faster. But it was nothing about speed. It's all about flow that I learned from it.
Yeah. Exactly correct.
Yeah,
Very good.
organized workstations, smooth material movement, quality check, as I mentioned in the toaster defects, and it will also make the defects very few.
Exactly. Exactly.
Lean is not about pushing people to work faster. It's about designing the process that flows smoothly.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from the Lean.
Okay. Thank you. Good feedback and takeaway actually. That's a good thing. So module 1 explores you to identify the problems, right? By applying Lean of 5S plus 1, correct? Principles. And the next stage, so once if you have identified the problems, the next stage is basically for you to innovate solutions, right? So in order to innovate solutions, you need divergent thinking. Okay, so you need to have divergent thinking. So there are 7 great tools for you to have this divergent thinking. Okay, so you need to ideally come up with different solutions, right? What are the different solutions that the problems could be, how the problems could be addressed. Okay, so that's what we went through in module 2. So we went through some quiz Kahoot also at the end of module 2, right? And then of course the third one is when you have many solutions, right? So you need to have an optimized solution. You need to identify which is the best solution, right? In order to have those best solutions, you need to look at the value, because we are looking at maximizing the value and minimizing the waste. Okay, so we went through the principles of Q matrix, right? So how Q matrix could be applied, okay, in order to identify which is the best solution among the solutions that you provided. So basically the key point that you need to understand, that is Q matrix replaces gut feelings with objective scoring, ensuring your final choice is the safest. So the two, when you do your Q matrix, will be very clear which one is the safest solution as compared to the other solutions. Of course, cost effective, you are looking at cost, okay, and as well as time. So you look at cost, you look at time, you look at safety, correct, and location. And location, most cost effective and most efficient path forward. So these are the key elements, right? So maximizing the value, minimizing the waste, okay? And you look at the time, you look at the cost, you look at the effectiveness compared with efficiency, okay? So the both must be balanced. So that's what we did in module 3 as a reflection, correct? And lastly, safety. Yeah, safety is the foundational pillar, right? So safety, you need to know how to relate it to successful operations, correct? So is there anyone who can relate what you have understood from this workshop relating it to safety? Yeah.
In manufacturing company, as I mentioned before, I work in a manufacturing.
Okay.
So they produce rails for the transportation.
Okay.
So what happened is we always have to go to the site to check why the train wasn't working or
Okay.
if there are any defects in the train.
Okay.
So the train runs about 750 volts of power. So if anyone touches that, they just have to die because it's too much
Okay.
power.
Yeah,
Okay?
understood.
So to make sure everything is going on time, there's one security guard
takeaway reflection on the safety related, right? So basically, so safety is the foundational pillar, okay, of lean. So you need to ensure like whatever may be the problem that you look at, okay, you need to see how you can apply this lean, okay, because safety is one of the foundational pillar in the entire system. So I hope you understood like the key learning takeaway points, right? So when you apply lean, so you need to ensure that you identify the problem, okay, using 5S W1, and you look at the solutions by using divergent thinking, and then using 7-way tools, and then you apply or make decision based on the solutions using Q matrix in order to ensure that the solution is effective and efficient, okay, reducing time, cost effective, but you have high productivity, okay, instead of wasting 90% of your time. And then finally, safety plays an important role as the foundation pillar for this application of lean using Kaizen, okay. Okay, now reflection on learning outcomes. Okay, so we initially started with 3 learning outcomes, right? So we have to define, explain, and apply. So we started with the first learning outcome, which is basically to define the 8 types of waste, which is teamworks, and the core principles of lean with at least 90% accuracy during a peer discussion. And then we went through the learning outcome number 2, which is to explain the strategic importance of value stream mapping (VSM) in identifying the 90% non-value added waste within a process. And third one is apply the 7 ways tool to generate creative workspace solutions and utilize the Q matrix to select the most efficient design based on data-driven criteria. Right? So for reflecting your learning outcome number 1, which is on defining the 8 types of waste on teamworks. So who will be able to reflect on this objective on what you have done in this workshop? Yep.
About teamwork is an acronym that represents 8 types of waste.
Yeah.
And originates from the Toyota production system. And we focus on maximizing value and minimizing waste.
Okay.
So the teamwork basically an activity that does not add value to the final product of service.
Okay.
And the meaning of teamwork is T stands for transportation.
Yeah, T stands for transportation. Okay, good.
Unnecessary movement of materials or products.
Okay.
Like example, moving components between multiple room unnecessary.
Okay.
So like we are just moving the things from one place to another without any waste of time. It's like so it's a waste of time.
Yep.
So that's why that's the first point for the teamwork transportation.
Okay.
Second one is inventory.
Sorry, yep.
So second one is inventory. When excess product or material not being used, as you guys know, we use raw materials for the production of anything. We collect excessive of raw materials and we don't use in our process. That's a waste of thing. So that's the second point, like inventory. Examples are stored too many sensors or LEDs in an audio project.
Okay.
If we are not using it, why we are putting it on our audio
Yeah,
project?
exactly.
Yeah, that's a point. And the third one is motion. Unnecessary movement of people. Like in a workspace, you can see people will be moving there and here without anything. Like, for example, they don't have to work. They have to stay in a place and do works. They will be moving there and here. So we can find this type of issues in some person, but normally if we see this in workplace, that they are not interactive with the works. So that's a waste of time for the company. So examples I want to back and forth to get tools to be ready. Yeah, it's an example. Like you already have a tool, then still you have to go and use the money and the time and wasting the time. So it's a waste of time in this tool. And the fourth one is waiting. Anytime when nothing is happening, like waiting for code for somebody or waiting for a comment delivery. Like usually we do this thing in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Like we just give a comment, just wait for the
Exactly. You need to wait.
So
Yeah.
that's a waste of time in section where we this thing. And the fifth one is overproduction.
Okay.
Overproduction will produce more than needs.
That's needed, yes.
Yeah. As Same thing is happening in our production also. If we don't need the production, still we make more and more, it will be like wasting more utilities for the people who are working. So making extra circuit board that don't be used.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a overproduction and a wastage.
Yeah.
And next one is over-processing, like doing more work than required. People used to work there and here for the motion, but if the people are like over-processing, which are not needed, like doing heavy work which is not needed,
Which is not needed,
yeah,
essential,
so
which is not
they are
essential.
just giving their more skills where it's not needed, yeah, there also. So it's like wasting the motions and the
Wasting time,
Yeah.
wasting material.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like adding unnecessary features to extra sensors or non needed. So that's the overprocessing thing.
Okay. Okay.
So next one is defect. Error that occurs before fixing. Examples like wrong wiring using circuit board. Like for our IoT assignments, we used to do the wiring setting. At
Okay.
last, when we do the processing of the card, it just got lost. And we can't do it on physical way, but we do on our thinker card
Okay. Understood.
it blasts because the wire maybe the defect or maybe some wires got like we change the 5 volt current or if we change the ground wire here and there. So it's like wasting time. Just do the works properly because
Yeah. Correct. Exactly.
the next one is key. Like unused currents, not using people for fuel abilities. Like a team member who has coding only doing simple tasks. Like in a group of them, if you are using a member who doesn't know the work, you're just giving him more than he can do. Okay? Just teach him how the talent, how the skills should be used, and make him more skillful. So it will be more
The
efficient
correct
style.
utilization of the skills
Yeah,
that they have.
like wasting of time. Instead, he is just doing something and just
Okay. Okay.
So the improvements includes like improve efficiency,
Okay.
reduce cost, save times, and increase productivity, and improve quality of work.
Yep. Good. So basically, yeah. So the first objective has been, I hope it has been achieved, right? So tick goods. So it basically increases productivity, efficiency, correct, and of course cost effective and saves time. And the second one objective is on explain the strategic importance of value stream mapping in identifying the 90% non-value added waste within a process. So you should know like how to eliminate that 90% which is of non-value added elements, right? So how do you think that you can reflect on this? Yep.
So it's like the value stream process mapping is like the flow from
Yep.
start to end, right?
Okay.
So in my university, if anyone gives me assignment, the process like the first lecture.
Like your assignment.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's like maybe FIP, the lecturer first gives the project, and then we have to analyze what components are required, what the project is about. Then we have to go through the methods used, the risk analysis to the end, right? Producing the product. So let's say if I don't do this efficient processing mapping, I might waste some time. Imagine I have to spend like 2 weeks on my literature review. I spend 4 weeks. So which minimizes the time that is required for methodology. Because
Okay,
the most
okay.
important is methodology. Right? So this the second one, non-value added, is spending too much on justification of the project.
It is not necessary.
Not necessarily.
elements.
So we have to check on what component has more weight to the marks or to our overall grade, and based on that working.
Okay, so you need to pursue, you need to make it perfect, you need to pull as well.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So basically your VSM mapping has value stream, correct? Flow, okay, pull, pursue, and perfection. So these are the things that you need to look at, right? So that's basically what is our second learning outcome, okay, as a reflection. And the third learning outcome is basically apply 7-way tools to generate creative workspace solutions, okay, and utilize the Q matrix to select the most efficient design based on data-driven criteria. Yeah, you can reflect it, right? Okay, tell me what is your reflection?
Yeah, basically the 7-way tools the category names as check sheet, you come to Twitter chart,
Yeah.
and Instagram,
Yeah.
and then it's the control chart,
Yeah.
scatter diagram,
Okay.
and the following is the stratification of flow chart.
Okay, good.
Yeah, then I will clearly explain the 7 tools one by one and the step by step.
Okay.
Then coming to the check sheet, I take the example as the leaking water filling company.
Okay.
In the company, the charge sheet collect the data and it will instead called mark fetch in a sheet. For example, all data it will collect and shows which is more leaking bottles. For
Okay.
example, there is leaking bottle comes 30.
Exactly.
What is the damage capsule damage and it's coming to the underfilled bottles. Some of the bottles might be empty. So this chart sheet gives a clear picture of the problem.
Okay.
Coming to the histogram. Histogram says about the understanding variations.
Okay.
Like understanding variations in the data visualized shows the most bottles correct caps. And coming to the some bottles they are underfilled. They didn't fill the water bottles properly.
Okay.
So this feels inconsistency in the filling the process of the water bottles in the histogram process. And coming to the quadrant chart, it finds a major problem what happening in the process. By the samples of the collected data,
Okay.
it shows the leaking bottles, damaged caps, underfilled. It majorly focuses on the damaged bottles, leaking bottles. The majority of the leaking bottles, it focuses on this. For example, if you are doing a polymer, if you got any bugs on that, or some of them are high, some of them are low, and there is nothing. If there are high bugs, it will focus on high bugs, then it will clarify the issue of the bugs.
Okay.
And coming to the cause and effect section, it shows, for example, why leaking happens, why the bugs coming continuously.
Okay.
By using this one cause and effect diagram, for example, in the factory there is efficiency, materials, man means the workers who are working in the company, method or environment. In the machine it will see machine pressure is low. The pressure is low, the water bottle will be
Okay.
gone.
Understand.
In the material caps are weak or defective.
Okay.
Some of the caps may leak because of the water bottle. And the worker, improper handling of the person. Coming to the method, work sealing procedure.
Okay.
And the environment project, dust affected sealing. This identify the root cause, identify the dust symptoms.
Okay. So basically, these are your 7 main tools. is
Yeah,
it?
coming to the fifth one,
Okay.
control chart will monitoring the process over the 7 days.
Okay.
After fixing the issues, the factory monitors performance. Based on the performance, they will fix the issues.
Okay.
Filling levels are tested continuously. It will test from 1 to 100 bottles, if they are okay or not. If value goes out of limit, problem detect immediately. If the leakage is high, then the problem will rise.
Okay.
Process stays stable over time. Based on time, the process will stay stable.
Okay. So these are all different solutions, is it?
Yeah.
And out of these solutions, then you come up with the final solution or optimization.
They are coming to the sixth one, the scatter diagram.
Okay.
It shows the relationship analysis through the process. The example cap maintenance versus leakages. Result good caps, more leakages.
Okay.
And it helps us cause and effective relationship in the scatter diagram. Coming to the flow chart, we know most of the companies follow the process and data analysis in the companies like first they wash the bottles and then they follow filling the water and then capping the water bottles and then labeling to the water bottles, outlets and the package, so they will store all the water bottles in the packages. They will show the project how they will do, how the workers will do. There are 2 shifts, one is morning shift as well as the night shift. In the morning shift, they will mostly utilize more unfilled water bottles, and come to the night shift, the fill more leaking water bottles
Okay.
to solve the problem.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Coming to this, my strong conclusion is that these are 7 tools will help us to improve product quality and increase efficiency.
Okay, fine. So you have your own 7-way tools in order to identify the solution for the scenario that you are given, right? So with those 7 solutions, yes, you use your Q matrix in order to select the best. So on what parameters you select the best solution?
So, let's say for using the same example as in a factory, once we list out all the problems that is there, like leaking or unused cap, instead of then we list out the solutions. That is, we call it, except for leaking or unfilled, it can be change or
Okay.
condition. Then we do a criteria. So what are the criteria that are required? And then we mark it. So from 0, plus 1, we give 1 mark if it meets the criteria.
Okay.
0 if it's the same. Even if you implement or not, it will give you the same answer. The next one, -1, is if the solution you apply will make you increase cost or no effect. So
Okay.
that's -1.
Okay.
So based on the criteria, we can choose which one is the best.
This is the best way. Okay, so best solution basically.
Yes.
So when you come up with the best solution, you always keep in mind that you need to have your waste as
Minimize.
minimized and value as maximized. Okay, so maximize the value and minimize the waste. So that's all about lean. Okay, so you need to ensure that you apply in your lean whatever you have learned in today's workshop into a scenario that you are in working, okay, in a working environment or in your day-to-day life. So putting all together, yes. So we went through we went through module 1 in which we defined what is lean. Okay, the lean basics. So lean is basically nothing but maximizing value and minimizing the waste. Okay, and so we looked at different types of waste. So team code was an example of that. Then value stream mapping. So we need to know what is the value, right? What is perfection, what is full, correct, and all those things. Then we went through 5S plus 1, right? So 5S how to apply 5S, right? 5S plus 1 thing process. So do you still remember the 5S? Yes, what's that?
So, second order,
Yeah,
Shine.
shine, safety, sustain, stabilize. Okay, good. Thank you. And next one in module 2. So we went through divergent thinking. Okay, so you look for more than one solution for the problem that has been identified. So in module 1 we identified the problem, right? So then we went to module 2, divergent thinking. So we tried to look at 7-way tools. Okay, we can apply 7-way tools to have creative solutions, and then we did an activity, correct, on the 7-part design challenges which you all did. So that's basically for module 2. And in module 3, so now we have identified 7 solutions for a problem, right? So now we need to identify which is the best solution by applying lean. Okay, so we used Q matrix. Okay, so it's basically a data-driven decision-making tool that you apply. And of course, we did an activity, and we also saw like who was the winner, right? So that's good. And next one, and finally, yes, we conclude with this all 3 modules with our key learning points, right? So 4 major points that we looked at. We looked at innovation, ideation with respect to design solutions of innovative solutions, problem identification, design solutions, then optimization, so where we select the best solution, and safety as the 4th pillar, which is the foundation pillar for lean. Okay, and then we went through reflecting on learning objectives, 3 major objectives, right? Definition, explanation, correct, and application, correct. And then yes, so we through putting into all together. And the last one is the action plan for you all. Are you all ready? Yes. Okay, the action plan is basically we have 3 objectives here, right? So 3 learning objectives. So define, explain, and apply. So define what are the 8 types of ways, explain the strategic importance of value stream mapping, then apply the 7-way tools and use the Q matrix to find the best solution. So what is going to be your action? Yes, so the first one is the 8 ways to audit. So within 5 days, we wanted you to perform a GEBA walk, okay, in your department. Identify and document one specific example for each of the 8 waste. Okay, so there are 8 waste, isn't it? So you try to identify and document one specific example for each of the 8 waste. That's basically your tick woods. Okay. So what should be your outcome? A completed tick woods checklist with before photos. Okay, so that's what I wanted you all to do. Will you be able to do it?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so your start date is 1st May and your end date is 5th May of 2026. Okay, and next one, the next action plan for achieving your learning objective 2 is basically on high level process mapping. So what you need to do is map a single bottleneck process, highlight the wait time, which is a non-value added. It's not essential for you to have it in the process basically, versus actual work time, which is basically value added. That means you identify what's the 90% to eliminate the waste in order to achieve productivity within 10%. So what is the outcome? A VSM draft identifying the 90% waste zone. So that will be the following week, which is from 6th May to 11th May. Is that fine? Okay. And the last objective is to innovate, find the solutions and identify the best solutions. So for this, what you need to do, for the top bottleneck found in VSM, so the same bottleneck problem that you identified here, generate 7 distinct solutions, okay, and use the Q matrix to rank them against safety, cost and flow, which you already pointed out, right? Safety, cost and flow. So what should be your outcome? A scored Q matrix showing the data driven as winner. Okay, so this is what you'll be doing in the 3rd week, which is from 12th May to 18th May. So is that fine? Any questions on this? No, right? Okay, so we have come to the end of the session. Okay, so do you have any questions for this session based on the workshop?
So can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Why divergent thinking will be helpful for our life?
Yeah, divergent thinking is yes, because you're looking at solution at different perspectives, different angles of solutions for a problem, right? So when you have a divergent solution, of course you evaluate each of these solutions, right? And see like based on the score, based on cost, based on flow, which one is the best solution. So therefore divergent thinking is important to ensure that there is different types of solutions identified for one particular problem. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Like, what if the input waste management is not applied in case in a company?
Okay, when team mode is not applied in a company, then you won't be identifying what is the waste. Correct? So you need to identify the waste. So in order to apply the waste, not identify the waste, you need to apply team mode.
Is it in a small scale?
Yes.
In a small scale also.
As I said before, to this module, you have to start with small scale, small area, and then you apply for a larger area. Okay? So you cannot immediately apply lean tomorrow itself in your organization because you will have resistance. Right? So you need to apply them gradually as a process. Is that clear?
Yes.
Any further questions? No. All good? Okay. Thank you so much.